Okay, next up is Finance Committee. What do you have for her? Let's do it.
Well, everyone has this report. You can give this report now.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So I think everybody has a copy of the financial report I put together here. The first page I just put together some notes that kind of describe what you're looking at on the following pages. The P&L with the previous year comps. Our grants are down as of November 30th for this year, although we did get in that $6,000 last week. So we'll be on par with last year. There's a huge difference, though, between where the money's coming from. There are a couple of foundations that typically give in December, so I sent that information to Matt to make sure that we do have applications in with them, and just to make sure that we don't need to follow up ourselves. We did get turned down by one foundation, and as I look back historically, it looks like they get so many applications in that it looks like they try to rotate who they're giving their money to, because we get money from them pretty much every other year. And this year, the letter did just state that essentially they didn't have enough money to go around. So I expect that we'll probably be able to get money from them next year. So you see a huge decrease in donation income, and most of that is accounted for from one donor who donated $16,200 last year towards the new shelter fund. So really, in terms of just general donations that the shelter brings in each year, we're pretty close to on par as well with last year. The shelter program fees are lower due to fewer adoptions for the year.
Is that attributed to, I'm sorry, the ringworm in the beginning?
Yeah, there were very few adoptions for the first couple months. Yeah. Thrift store profit has increased by 14% over last year. And then I am trying to describe here, I'm not sure how well it's going to do. The net fundraising income for 2010 is just over $49,000, and for 2011, just over $56,000. And when you're looking at the report, you see the fundraising income, and you have to deduct out the gift cards from the cost of goods sold below, and that's how I'm coming up with that net figure. So the net fundraising has increased, is what I'm saying. And the associated expenses have been reduced just in the last half of this year, leaving the overall profit for this year about $2,000 over where we were last year. And we're continuing on with that reduction in fundraising expenses. So I expect that we'll continue to see higher profits with our fundraisers. The lower vet service program income is also due to fewer adoptions. And our investments have just lost a little bit less this year than they did last year. The lower animal service expenses are again due to fewer animals processed. The G&A reduction that you see there, I wanted to point out, G&A costs had actually increased significantly for the first half of 2011, and we've decreased it by 20% over these past 5 months. So that's giving us a 4.2% decrease for the year, but most of that's attributable to this large decrease that we made since May. 70% of the shelter expenses that you see there were accumulated during that first quarter of 2011 and are associated to the ringworm clean out and remodel. And the staff and volunteer expenses, you see a huge reduction there, and that's because that's mostly mileage reimbursements. Now that we have the shelter van, that's what's used to transport the animals to the spay and neuter clinic, to the pet smarts and whatnot. And we've also tightened up quite a bit on having employees driving around. we'll get to more detail about these last two items. The uncategorized expenses include funds that we are working to recover, and then the loss of funds also includes funds that we're working to recover. The sheet behind it, balance sheet, basically what it comes down to is we have about $5,000 less in assets today than we had this time last year. And the last page, although it's not noted, this is the thrift store P&L, so you can see where it's increased. The profit has increased by 14% over last year. So Natalie, if you want to share that information with the folks, that would be awesome.
We decided not to have a meeting.